Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Eric. I'm the host of Wildcard Journeys. On this channel, I hit the road to make videos about the paranormal, various urban legends, or just whatever might be out there on the road. Now, if that sounds like your kind of traveling, then consider subscribing and welcome to the journey. So today, I flew out to Las Vegas, Nevada to do my first ever collaboration video with none other than the queen of urban exploring herself, Wonderhussy.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
Hi. So here's the deal. See, I'm more the paranormal guy, whereas she's like, would you say you're a hardcore skeptic?
I'm a die-hard skeptic. I've been to a lot of allegedly haunted places in my urbex adventures, and I've yet to witness anything I couldn't explain.
Yeah, actually, the first video of yours I watched was when the first time you stayed at the Clown Motel.
That's one of my favorite places to stay.
Yes, and I've been there. Yeah, I actually had something weird happen to me there.
Well, they just remodeled it, so you better go back.
I want to go back. So I had the idea of a collaboration video, and I heard the idea. I'm like, hey, what if have you heard of Zak Bagans? Have you heard of the Haunted Museum? And she's like, yeah, that's real close by, because you're a native of Las Vegas.
Yeah, I live like less than a mile from here, and I've driven by this museum countless times, and I've always been curious about it. So when you proposed going to check it out, I actually thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm flying 300 miles, she's driving down the street, and who was late?
Well, I left my microphone at home.
Yes. So basically, if you're not familiar with it, it's a paranormal museum. It's not one of those Halloween time actors jump out and scare you. No. Zak Bagans, star of the TV show Ghost Adventures, he purchased all these different cursed items, haunted items from around the country, around the world, and he put them in one house. And the house itself has a history of being haunted all on its own. So it's a very popular attraction here in Vegas. It's been open for about 3 years now, and you said it's like there's always a line outside. There's always people wanting to get in.
I looked it up on Google just before I came out here, and I couldn't believe it's got like solid 5-star rating, thousands of 5-star reviews. People really like this attraction, and now I know why.
Yes. So I'm like, let's go here, and you even told me what cracked me up. It's like you told me from the get-go. You're like, okay, just so you know, I don't think much of the paranormal. I think less of Zak Bagans, you know.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Zak Bagans.
And I was like, perfect. I even told you when we met earlier today, it's like, I'm glad you're a skeptic, because the believers need the skeptics to keep us balanced. So we went, and they won't allow filming inside the museum, okay, which is kind of understandable. So what we're going to do is basically we took the tour, and we're just going to relay a few things of like what we personally experienced. And well, let's start with the skeptic.
Okay, well, I came at this like, oh, this is going to be so lame. Like, I really have a dim opinion of Zak Bagans. Like, and that's putting it charitably. But I like weird stuff, creepy stuff. And boy, howdy, this museum has it in spades. I mean, to me, it wasn't even so much of a paranormal museum as it was just like a collection of oddities and creepy stuff, which, wow, I found it fascinating. And I thought like the entrance price was a little steep, like what, $40 to go into a museum? Well, I mean, we were in there for what, 2 hours?
Yeah, almost 2 hours.
It was like a 2-hour tour, and you're being guided around the rooms by tour guides that are telling you about the stuff. So it's basically like sitting at a Vegas show for an hour and a half, same amount of entertainment, same length of time, but a Vegas show costs like $100. So I think this is actually an extremely good value for the money. And
in a way, you're kind of interactive with the show, because you're walking around, you're going
part
upstairs,
of it, yeah.
You know, and especially if you're now. Did you feel or sense anything weird? Did you get a sense of anything at any point of any kind?
I did not. Did you?
Okay, so the closest thing I experienced, because I've watched all the documentaries about this, I've read all the books, everything about it, so I had an idea of what to expect going in. So I took some necessary precautions, where I wore a Benedictine bracelet and another bracelet with Catholic saints on them. So when we got to the house, the tour guide took us around outside, and it's one of the few places you can actually take pictures. So there was a scarecrow out there. I'm like, okay, I want to get a picture of the scarecrow. And I started to walk closer with my camera to get a picture. The closer I walked, my wrist started heating up. It was like, I felt like hot pinpricks just around my wrists. And I'm like, why does that feel weird? Then I realized I'm wearing the bracelets. And more than once while we were in there, it felt like my wrists were heating up. I'm wondering if something in there reacted to the religious aspect of these bracelets.
I mean, there was a lot of satanic stuff in there.
Yeah, there was way more than I expected. I mean, I knew there was going to be some, but... I mean,
they had like artifacts from Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. It was pretty interesting, just from a historical perspective. But yeah, maybe that's, what your bracelets didn't like.
Yeah, more than once, I'm like, okay. I'm doing the whole Linda Carter Wonder Woman thing. Like,
And then I thought I saw you kind of hesitate and not want to go in that last room?
Oh, that's the Natalie Wood room. The one.
The Natalie Wood room is the one you didn't want to go in?
Oh, no, that was Peggy the Doll.
Yeah, you didn't want to go in Peggy, but I feel like you kind of even hung back at the Demon House room.
Yeah, the Demon House I was kind of familiar with, but the two items that concerned me were Bela Lugosi's mirror. Oh. Because people, when they look into it, they feel sad or sick or faint. Okay, they have some kind of physical reaction. And Peggy the Doll, which they have like an EVP recorder set up right there, and
super
it's live.
Creepy.
It communicates with you. And the thing is, it's like those things are just kind of annoying to hear because it's like really loud radio static.
Yeah, but it's just like adds to the creepy factor.
Right. But did it sound like to you like a child singing the beat? It went like a beat of like a child like going na 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 or something.
No, I didn't notice that.
To me, the static sounded like a child crying or a child teasing you about something. That was my first impression. And Peggy is known to like cause all kinds of physical ailments and problems, possibly even deaths. And even the guides even suggest that when you go in there to say hello and to say goodbye, which is again much like using a Ouija board, which I don't touch those things, that's my own personal thing. But if you open something like that, if you open something like that, you have to close it out. So
I did notice you said goodbye, Peggy.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you say hi to her?
I said hello when we went in,
okay.
But it was so loud in there. There were so many people.
It was so loud and there's so many people.
Yeah. And I was, not only did I say goodbye, but I'm like, have a good day. And I was like...
Yeah, you were very respectful. I don't think Peggy's going to attach herself.
Yeah, But I do feel actually kind of proud of myself because there was so many items in there that I wasn't looking forward to being in the same room with. I went into every one. I looked into Bela Lugosi's mirror. Did you feel anything weird when you looked into the mirror? No. The only time I felt something other than my wrists, like kind of getting warm, or like it felt like, like embers from a fire when they land on your arm. That's what it felt like on both my wrists. That's the weirdest sensation. Oh, wow. And the only other thing is there was the skull of a man, the Hungarian guy, was he? Apparently, when he was buried, he was considered so evil that he made the ground evil. So they dug him up, cut off his head, and sent off his head somewhere.
Oh, gosh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was the head that was in the shelf, so it had some skin on it.
There was so much stuff in that museum, you can't possibly see it all. That's true. I understand, like, it was a 2-hour tour, but you constantly feel like you're being rushed through. Like, there's so much in there.
And you have so many people. There's like a couple hundred people, probably more a day.
It's crowded, but
so you're bumping into other groups.
I understand why, you can't spend all friggin' day in there, but you could easily.
Well, when we went in that room, because the way it's set up, it's a glass shelf in a tiny room. So you walk in one door, and you kind of just make a U-turn. And before you make the U-turn, you look at the head in the shelf. Well, when I looked at the small head in the shelf, it felt like something like, I don't want to say hit me in the chest, but I felt like something inside my chest just kind of sunk.
Oh, yeah, I heard you. Didn't you mention that to the tour guide? Yeah, I heard you say that.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it was an unusual feeling. Now,
boy, I'll say.
Now, is this something you would do again?
Yeah, actually, I would do that. I mean, I'd probably wait a bit so he can get some new artifacts, before I go right back in there.
Probably a few months. I mean, they're always bringing
it seems like he's like actively collecting stuff. So yeah, I would definitely go do that again. In fact, I thought straight away of a girlfriend I have that would love that freaking place. So yeah, I liked it much more than I thought I was going to. I'm actually gonna go on TripAdvisor and write a good review of it.
Wow, you're giving someone a good review. Good review from you is hard won.
Yep, well, I mean, only when it's warranted, and as much as I still don't really like Zak Bagans, I have to give him props for doing a great job on this museum.
I mean, it is really, I look at him as an entertainer. Yeah. He's full of BS.
Oh, yeah, he's an entertainer for sure.
He's an entertainer.
He's really good at what he does.
And the tour was definitely worth the money if you come to Vegas and you're thinking about taking
Agreed.
this. Yeah. totally worth it. There's just a weird taste in the air. And I think it's from a combination of some of the artifacts in there are so old, they're musty.
And there's like weird smells in there, but it adds to it.
But I think because they have to sage so much stuff in there, I think I kept tasting like, what is that taste in the air? And I think it's because they burn so much sage in there, which you have to, you know.
My one disappointment with the tour was that they don't let you in the basement.
That might be a good thing. But they did say they're working on something, and you're a local, so they
said
they're trying to work on it for the locals.
Supposedly the basement is like still being used for rituals, right? And I said so.
Zak Bagans goes down there on his own and does his own kind of thing, his own kind of ritual down there. But they do have like sort of, it's not really a pentagram, but it's similar to a pentagram, a huge one painted on the floor. So that was a little strange to see, but I've watched all the Ghost Adventures episodes pertaining to this. They had a spin-off series about it. I've done all the research. It's I would do it again. Not anytime soon, but I would definitely do it again.
Oh yeah, definitely worthwhile.
And aren't you going to Key West soon?
I am going to Key West on Friday, and I didn't realize they mentioned something about a haunted doll.
You don't know about Robert the Doll?
No, I don't. Fill me in.
Okay, so in Key West, Florida, I think it's like an old Spanish fort or something. There is a doll pretty much set up very similar to Peggy.
Okay.
Where like if you walk in there, he's like a little stuffed doll dressed like a sailor, and he's behind a glass case and everything. If you disrespect the doll, something horrible is going to happen to you. Like as soon as you leave the building.
Oh gosh, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, and here's a creepy part. Jack Osbourne and Ozzy Osbourne on their TV show when they did a road trip stopped and visited it. It freaked out Ozzy Osbourne. In the gift shop, they sell tiny Robert the Doll stuffed dolls. And so Jack Osbourne bought one and took it with him on the rest of their trip. And it was pissing off Ozzy Osbourne. But I'm like, there is no way in hell I would even buy like a little miniature version of that.
I would.
But if you go to Key West, okay, if you check out Robert the Doll, just be respectful.
Oh, I will. I'm not trying to get cursed or jinxed.
Yeah. And we talked about it like with your audience, your audience, they're not really the paranormal crowd.
No, I've got some paranormal fans who follow me.
Right, but there's some people out there who are like, might want to try this out.
Yeah.
And if I were to give any kind of advice of going to a place, because there's only really 3 museums like this in the country. Ed and Lorraine Warren's son-in-law, Tony Spera, he actually runs their museum of the items they collected. But it's closed right now due to local zoning issues. And Ed and Lorraine's nephew, John Zaffis, a.k.a. the ghost collector, haunted collector, he has a museum, but it's by appointment only. And so this is the 3rd one that's pretty much open to the public. You can walk right in without, make an appointment or anything like that. So
yeah, I feel lucky that it's right down the street from my house.
Yeah, you can come by anytime.
I literally could. I could get a punch card. Like go 9 times, get the 10th visit free.
You can hang out with Zak.
I don't know about that.
I can see that.
I gotta draw the line somewhere.
Zak meets Wonderhussy. That I would tune in to see. But if you go to one of these type of museums or any location that has like really items that could be cursed, there's just a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Number 1, I would advise, don't challenge the item. Don't mock it. Don't dare it. That, say, oh, you're not real, or, do something. No, then you're challenging it, and then it will accept the challenge. You don't want to do that. It's just stirring up trouble. And number 2, along the same lines, don't touch anything. Remember right before we went in?
Yeah.
I was like, you're going to see some stuff. I doubt they'll let you touch anything.
I didn't touch anything except for that Charles Manson palm print. That's the only thing you're allowed to touch.
You touched it?
Yeah.
Oh, you're braver than I am.
Well, I wanted to see, but he was a small man, and our hands were the same size.
So now you've held hands with Charles Manson.
Well, you know what they say about guys with small hands?
Small gloves?
Oh, they're serial killers.
Okay, I'm safe. So basically if you go to a museum like this, don't challenge or mock anything, don't touch anything. And whether you're a believer or a skeptic or just middle of the road, just keep an open mind and be respectful like anywhere else. Like you wouldn't go to Chernobyl and just start picking up things.
Exactly. Well, I treated it like I would any museum.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into the Louvre and start picking up stuff.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, it's great. I'm glad you invited me because I probably wouldn't have gone on my own.
Yeah. And I'm your first collaboration video.
That's right.
So what do you have coming up for your viewers?
Well, so Halloween is coming up, right? And this was kind of a spooky experience, but I don't know, I felt like it was more shtick. It's more showbiz. I want to go someplace that's truly creepy in Vegas. So I have another location in mind that's just down the street from this, but it's way creepier.
And she finds the weirdest places on her own, so that I'm going to tune in to see.
Stay tuned.
So, well, there you have it. There was our adventure into Zak Bagans' Haunted Museum. Okay, this is Wonderhussy. Check out her channel. She is the queen of urban exploring. And hot springs. Okay,
anything weird out in the middle of nowhere, that's my jam.
That's her jam. She is the queen of jam. Okay. Thank you again for watching.
Oh, thank you for inviting
me. Oh my God, it's so much fun. I had a blast. Thank you.
Oh.
If you like this video, please hit like, share it with a friend, comment below. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and you can catch all of my videos that hit the road for the paranormal, urban legends, or whatever's out there, even Wonderhussy. Hello again. If you just watched Wonderhussy's video about our tour of Zak Bagans' Haunted Museum, then you know I mentioned in this video I was going to cover the steps I took to protect myself from any potentially harmful energies and or spirits. Now, the modern day umbrella term for this would be either psychic protection or psychic self-defense. This does not mean that you have to be a psychic or you need a psychic to do it for you in order for it to work. We are all psychic to a certain extent. If you've ever had a good or bad feeling about a person or situation, then you've used your psychic ability. Intuition, gut feeling, instinct, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. Think of your intuition as a muscle and psychic protection as a form of exercise, like the martial arts. You have the benefit of being healthier and knowing how to defend yourself. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, before I went on the museum tour, I took steps to protect myself on a psychic and spiritual level. There are objects in that house that have a lot of dark history attached to them, and that's how I wanted to leave it, attached to them and not us. While we were waiting in line, I told her that if at any time she felt strange, or if anything in there was starting to freak her out, then to immediately visualize herself surrounded by pure light. Have you ever had a light shine on you so strong that you could actually feel it? That's what you need to feel here, a warm and protective light completely surrounding you. No need for words, just picture it turning on and staying on directly above you. You will be safe in the light because the light always beats back the darkness. Then I took it a step further by wearing an All Saints and Benedictine bracelet on my wrist, which ended up causing a reaction I had no way of expecting. And I'm not going to lie, it was a little unnerving. But I'm glad I wore them because what happened confirmed to me once again that these negative energies, spirits, whatever you want to call them, exist and can affect you. And that there are real-world defenses against them. So you're never truly without hope and you're never alone. St. Benedict was the founder of the Benedictine monastic order, and a St. Benedict medal is considered to be one of the most potent objects in the barring of negative or demonic forces. On the back of the medal, you'll see a cross and a series of letters. Each of these letters are actually the initials to the words of a specific Catholic prayer used for both protection and exorcisms. The All Saints bracelet displays images of different patron saints, and depending where you buy one, these can vary from bracelet to bracelet. As a backup on my phone's wallpaper, I had St. Michael's Prayer. Michael was the archangel who defeated Lucifer during the war in heaven and cast him down to hell, which is why Michael's Prayer is often used in an exorcism in order to cast out the demon. Just picture Keanu Reeves during the nightclub scene in the first John Wick movie, and that was pretty much Michael during the war in heaven. Now, obviously, the steps I took and what they represented are a matter of personal preference, but my preferences and what I'm comfortable with are not going to be the same for everyone. So how does one choose a necklace or bracelet or medal for themselves as a means of psychic self-defense? What is the difference between a talisman, an amulet, or a charm, and which of these is better suited for your situation? I'm going to briefly cover not only what each of these mean, but also recommend a few books if you're interested in delving into the subject of psychic self-defense or paranormal investigation. Talismans. Talismans are objects with the designated purpose of providing power, protection, and energy to those who wear them. They can be made from almost any material and usually are inscribed with words or images. The key is they provide specific benefits to their owners and are usually made for a specific purpose. So in that sense, they're proactive. Amulets. Amulets are intended for more general purposes and usually provide protection as well as ward off illness and misfortune. So if talismans are proactive, amulets could be considered passive. In other words, they react to events. Charms. Usually referred to as lucky charms, they combine the qualities of talismans and amulets. They're proactive and passive, intended for protection and to attract good luck to whoever owns them. So to break it down, talismans provide active power, amulets provide protection in a passive manner, and charms attract good luck and protect from bad. One of the best books written about this subject is Amulets and Talismans for Beginners by Richard Webster. He not only goes more in depth, but he instructs you how to make your own and use them properly. On a similar topic by the same author is Psychic Protection for Beginners. I have recommended this book to friends for years, and I still refer back to it myself constantly. He covers psychic self-defense techniques that date back centuries from cultures all over the world. So from gemstones to bells to auras to candles, there's something in it for everyone. And Richard Webster has authored over 100 books on various New Age subjects, so he's considered one of the authorities in the field. And while it might sound funny, the next book I would recommend is The Idiot's Guide to the Paranormal. What I like about this book is that it effectively bridges the gap between psychic self-defense and modern-day paranormal investigation. It covers the different categories of ghosts, hauntings, tools, and techniques that are used by present-day investigators. It really is a must-read if you have any interest in this field. In the field of paranormal investigation, there's only really a handful of pioneers. Back in the 1960s and 70s, when there were no big Hollywood movies or TV shows being made about it, they were out there in the field, often at their own expense, documenting evidence and helping people with truly unique problems. Professor Hans Holzer is one of those early pioneers. He's authored over 100 books on the subject, and his approach is more from the parapsychologist's perspective, which is to say it's more of a scientific approach. In fact, many of his old case files have recently been made into a TV series on the Travel Channel called The Holzer Files. Other early pioneers in this field are Ed and Lorraine Warren. Nowadays, a lot of people are familiar with their names due to the success of the Conjuring movies. In the description below, I provided links to old interviews of theirs, and it's really fascinating material. Carrying on their legacy is Ed Warren's nephew, John Zaffis. Ed Warren took him under his wing and began training him in this field at the age of 18. And now he's pretty much considered the Obi-Wan Kenobi of paranormal investigation. I had the pleasure of meeting him earlier this year at SalemCon, and I asked which of his books he would recommend for someone starting out in this field. And he recommended Shadows of the Dark. These are some of his earliest cases that he's worked on both with Ed Warren and solo. What I can say is by page 8 or 9, I already had chills going up my arm. Not even kidding. And there you have it. If you're interested in any of these books I've recommended, I provided links to them in the description below, along with a few others. Thank you again for watching. If there are any haunted locations or urban legends where you're at, feel free to share them in the comment section below, and maybe I can make a trip out there. Once again, a big shout out and thank you to Wonderhussy for joining me on this adventure. You are an absolute sweetheart and an awesome lady. Be sure to stay tuned to the end of this video for a Wonderhussy milestone. Thank you again, and we'll see you on the journey.
Ask me anything.
Okay, this is a bonus question I have been wanting to ask you for about 3 or 4 years that we've known each other online now.
Okay.
Okay, so all the big YouTubers have a nickname for like their followers. Exploring with Josh calls his Hey Explorers. The Bagger Brothers call theirs Bagger Buddies. Okay. My channel Wildcard Journeys, I call my followers Wildcards. So here's my question. Have you thought of a name for your followers? I mean, are we hussies too? Are we hussites? I'm a guy. Am I a husser?
Hussar? You're a husketeer.
Ooh, I like that. I can work with Husketeer. You heard it here first. Wonderhussy has baptized her followers with a new nickname. Husketeers.
I now dub thee a husketeer.
I feel just like Spider-Man when Iron Man made him an Avenger. I'm gonna cry.
Ah!